Okay, I think most people have joined the session, so let's get started. Before we start with the session for today, I just quickly want to take you through again what the pre-departure weeks are. So pre-departure weeks are a series of online events and sessions where we help you, students that have been admitted to Utrecht University, feel more prepared before your arrival in Utrecht. We've held different sessions since the end of March until now on different topics such as housing, student life, study culture, and lots more. You can find the recordings of these sessions sent out to you every month in a monthly newsletter. If you haven't received this, you can send us an email and we can send it to you. But if you want to rewatch any of our sessions, we always send it out at the end of every month, so keep an eye out for that. Let's get started then with the session for today, which is an arrival guide, things to do upon your arrival. So of course, many of you might already be thinking about things relating to when you arrive in Utrecht. And what we want to do in the session is basically take you through some of these things that you will do when you arrive. But it's also so that you don't have to per se think about it too much right now, because these are things that you will do when you arrive and that you will get more information and help about when you are here. So to quickly explain what the structure of today's event will look like, we'll first have a short presentation. After this presentation, we will have a Q&A. So we will open up the Q&A function and you will be able to send us any questions that you have. And we will try to answer as many questions as possible once we are done with the presentation. So let's get started then first with the presentation. The content of the presentation consists of a few different topics, starting off first with how you can get to Utrecht from the airport or the train station in the Netherlands, the UU orientation program, getting around Utrecht, city registration, Dutch bank accounts and managing finances, and finally learning Dutch. So if these are topics that you have been thinking about, we'll give you some more information about them, and then of course you will execute them when you actually arrive. So firstly, getting to Utrecht, of course, it depends a bit where you are traveling from. So firstly, if you're traveling from Schiphol Airport to Utrecht, you can take a train to Utrecht Central Station. This takes about 30 minutes and costs €9.50. You could also take a taxi. This costs around €90 on the meter. Some companies do offer lower fixed fares, but you do have to pre-book these taxis. So if you are planning to take a taxi, I would recommend pre-booking it. You can find more information about this online as well as on our Welcome to Utrecht website. If you are arriving in Eindhoven Airport, you will need to take a bus and a train to get to Utrecht Central Station. This takes about an hour and a half, a bit under that, and costs around 17, 18 euros or so. If you do want to take a taxi, I would recommend checking with the taxi company for the fare beforehand, because this is quite a long distance journey and will be quite expensive. If you are arriving by train already to Amsterdam Central Station, you can continue on and take a train to Utrecht Central Station. This takes around 26 minutes and costs around €8.40. So just depending on where you're coming from and as well as how much luggage you have, etc., you could choose to either make use of the public transport and take a train or take a taxi. Of course, if you take a train to Utrecht Central Station, you would also then need to take either a taxi or a bus to your housing accommodation or hotel, etc. If you are making use of the train, you can buy a ticket from a machine or at a counter in the airport or at the central station. You can do this with cash or credit card. If you do want to book your ticket beforehand online, you can also buy an e-ticket at the NS online shop. Make sure to check which platform your train to Utrecht Central Station leaves from, either from Schiphol, Amsterdam Central, or from Eindhoven. And something else to keep in mind, in the Netherlands, the intercity train is faster. So there are two types of train, a sprinter and an intercity. You might think the sprinter is faster, but the intercity is much faster. So keep this in mind when you're planning your journey. Don't forget to check in and check out. And the last point is, if you are taking a bus to get from the train station to your destination within the city of Utrecht, keep in mind that on the buses, you cannot pay by cash and you can only pay by certain types of cards. So this is something to keep in mind. I would suggest planning your journey a bit before from the airport or from the train station to Utrecht, but you can also get a lot of information about it once you reach the airport or the train station as well. Then coming to the first few days of your arrival, you can choose to be part of the UU orientation program, which is something really nice, of course, as a new incoming student. The orientation will take place in the week of the 29th of August. So if you can, we do, of course, suggest that you come to Utrecht before the orientation so you can take part in it. Why should you join the orientation? It's a great way for you to already meet your fellow international students. So this orientation is specifically for international students. You can already get acquainted with your faculty or your program, and you can get some first-hand experience with Dutch student life before you start your program. During this orientation, they will also give you a lot of information about different things, such as student organizations or getting a bank account, city registration, some of the topics that we will discuss here as well. So apart from the social side of orientation, it's also a really useful place to get a lot of information that will help you in your first couple of weeks and months. So yeah, you can find more information about the orientation program on the Welcome to Utrecht website, as well as how you can sign up on this. So if you haven't done this yet, make sure to sign up. Then let's talk a little bit about getting around Utrecht and getting around the Netherlands in general. So firstly, of course, as you might have heard, cycling or biking is really important in Utrecht and the Netherlands. Once you arrive in Utrecht, you can get yourself a bike. You can either buy a bike or you can rent a bike. This typically costs between 50 to 100 euros secondhand. You can buy this at a secondhand bike shop. There are lots of these around the city, or you can also buy it online on Facebook groups or on Marktplaats, which is the Dutch eBay. If you are here for a shorter period, for example, for a year, or if you're doing an exchange of 6 months, you can also choose to rent a bike, which is sort of a subscription service where you pay a monthly fee and you are able to keep this bike for as many months as you wish. Something else is that it's always a good idea to get a second lock for your bike, because bikes, of course, can get stolen as well. But again, this is something that you can definitely do when you arrive. If you are here for the orientation, that would also be a time that you could use to find yourself a bike as well. The second way is, of course, getting around by public transport. You can use public transport to get around Utrecht if you don't want to bike, or of course you will need public transport to get from Utrecht to Amsterdam or other Dutch cities. The public transport system in the Netherlands can all be accessed by one single card. It's known as the OV chip card. And you can use this basically on the train, on the bus, on the tram, on any kind of public transport. There are two different types of cards that you can get. You can get a personal card, which is personalized with your name and details. If you get a card like this, you're also able to get a subscription. So for example, you could pay a monthly fee of 5 euros and then get 40% off when you travel by train. Otherwise, you could also just get an anonymous card, which you can just buy at the station. And with this, again, you can just access all the different public transportation methods, but you can't get a subscription. To get your personal card, you do need to have a Dutch address and a Dutch bank account. So this is something we recommend that you set up a bit later on, after a month or so, when you have all of this done. But when you arrive, it would be definitely good to buy yourself an anonymous card just at the station or at the airport, and then you can load money onto this and use it on all the different public transportation means. Again, you can find more information about this on the Welcome to Utrecht website as well. So hopefully this just gives you a little bit of an idea of what you can expect when you arrive in terms of how to get around. Then let's talk a bit about city registration. So you might be wondering, yeah, why should I register with the municipality? You need to register as a new resident of the town in which you are living if you stay longer than 4 months in the Netherlands. So this is something that is required by you. After you register, you can get your BSN number. BSN is basically a personal public service number. After you have received this BSN number, you can use it to open a Dutch bank account, get Dutch health insurance if you are employed, apply for housing allowance, or get a job, etc. You can also then apply for your DigiD or digital identification once you have your BSN. And with this DigiD, you can access online government services. For example, if you want to file your taxes online, or you want to log into any other kind of government website for health insurance, etc. So it is really important that you register at the municipality when you arrive. How do you do this? So how do I register with the municipality? You first need to check which municipality, the city or town that you will live in falls under. So once you have your accommodation and you know the address, you need to check which municipality does this fall under. And then you need to check the website of that municipality to see what documents you need to prepare. And then you need to make an appointment with them. Make an appointment with the municipality on their website as soon as you arrive in the Netherlands, because this can take a little bit of time. For registration in Utrecht, you need to bring a valid identification, so passport or identity card, a tenancy agreement. So make sure that where you're living, it doesn't say something like no registration, because it is important that you can be registered at an address in the Netherlands. And a proof of deregistration if you're coming from one of the countries listed on the screen. Again, this might seem a little bit complicated now, but you will get a lot more information about this when you arrive and also during your orientation. And in general, the steps and processes are very easy to understand and well organized. So you can easily take care of this when you arrive. Just good to keep in mind now already that this is something that you will have to do when you arrive, and that you should make an appointment as soon as you arrive. Then moving on to Dutch bank accounts. So based on where your home country is, you might be used to certain types of bank accounts, or using a lot of cash, for example. The Netherlands is an increasingly cashless society, so in a lot of places only paying by card is accepted. But in a lot of places, the typical credit cards like MasterCard or American Express and Visa are actually not accepted. Instead, the most commonly used card here is Maestro, or transferring someone money online through some kind of online banking application. So this is something good to keep in mind, so that you're not super shocked if you come here and go to the supermarket, that you won't be able to pay in many supermarkets using American Express or MasterCard. You would only be able to pay either with cash in some places or with a Maestro credit card, a debit card. This is why it's quite practical for you to have a Dutch bank account while you're studying in the Netherlands. Keep in mind that if you do already have an IBAN bank account with a Maestro card, for example, if you are coming from some other EU country, you may not need to open a Dutch bank account. When you do open a Dutch bank account, you will receive a debit card, which you can then use to pay at cafeterias, photocopies, printers, vending machines, etc. Also at the university where you cannot pay in cash. So like I said, there are a lot of places where you literally just cannot pay in cash. So once you have your Dutch bank account, you get this debit card, you can use it to pay at all of these locations, and also in the shops and supermarkets where credit cards such as Visa, MasterCard, etc. are not accepted. The general requirements for opening a Dutch bank account is to have a valid identification document. For non-EU students, this has to be a passport. You have to have a Dutch address. You need a proof of enrollment at the university, and quite often they will also ask for your BSN number and might also ask for a Dutch phone number. You can find more information about this online, and you can then make an appointment with a bank of your choice once you have your BSN number and things, so that you can get your bank account open. Yeah. Moving on then to talking a bit about managing finances. So the first most important tip would be to make use of the bank app that you get when you open your bank account. You're also connected to online banking, and you can download the banking app to manage your budget. On a lot of these apps, there are also features such as savings goals, where you can put in a goal of an amount you want to save for a specific reason, and then deposit money into that saving goal. You can also get a spending tracker where you can track how much money you're spending on different things, such as eating out or shopping, etc. And the second tip is, of course, going Dutch. It's extremely common in the Netherlands, especially in student culture, to just split the cost based on who ate what or who purchased what for someone else. So whenever you need to, you can send a payment request to someone that you paid something for, so that they can pay you back for that. It's super easy. It's just something you can share via WhatsApp or Facebook, and they can simply click on the link and use their banking app to pay you back. There's no extra transaction fees needed, so this is super nice. There are also a couple other apps that can help you manage your finances. We'll be sending out some more information about useful apps to have in a few weeks, so keep an eye out for that as well. Some other tips to spend your money wisely. So these are some tips that are good for the planet and also your wallet. So firstly is to buy secondhand. You can buy and sell your stuff secondhand. You can do this at physical thrift stores, but you can also do this through online thrift stores such as Vinted. And the second tip is to shop at open-air markets. So there's a big market in the center of Utrecht where you can get groceries, cheese, etc. And there's also markets for different things, such as, for example, a fabric market where you could also go and buy different fabrics. There's also, of course, just a fun activity to do with friends, but also a good way to save some money. Second tip is live like a local. So these are some of the most popular stores. On the left, you have the stores for homeware and things for your house. In the middle, you have the supermarkets, and on the right, you have personal hygiene stores. On all of these stores, there's quite often offers and discounts. Dutch people love to shop when things are on discount as well, so you can keep an eye out for when certain items are on discounts. You can buy them and save some extra money that way. All these different stores also have a different range of prices and quality, etc. So you can take a look at different places and then sort of figure out where you want to spend your money. And the last tip to spend wisely is student discounts. So you can get student discounts on a lot of different things in Utrecht. So firstly on sports, we have the Sports Center Olympus, which is located at the Utrecht Science Park. Here you can take gym and group lessons. This costs $17.50 a month if you're a UU student, or $140 for a year. Apart from this, you can also ask for a student discount at a lot of other gyms within the city. Art and culture, we also have a cultural center where you can get a discount on courses on music, dance, theater, photography, etc. You can also buy student tickets for a lot of museums, concerts, etc., where you just need to show your student card so that you get a discounted rate. And a lot of bars, cafes, and restaurants also offer special student deals, so keep an eye out for that as well. Again, during your orientation, you will hear a lot more information about these kind of things. Okay, carrying on then. Um, Learning Dutch. If you want, you might be curious about this. You might maybe have already started learning on Duolingo, or it might be something that you want to do when you arrive. Of course, no pressure, completely up to you. Here on the screen, you can see some affordable places to learn Dutch if you want. So firstly, ESN Utrecht, which is a student organization for international students. They have a 10-week course, which costs around 10 euros, I believe. So it is a very, very affordable way to at least learn some basic Dutch. You have the International Neighbor Group in Utrecht, where you have courses which are actually offered by volunteers, and you can sign up for this as well. You can also, of course, go to a language school. For example, Babel is a language school that has a partnership with the university, so you get a 15% discount if you are a UU student. Apart from this, there are also some language cafes around Utrecht. One of them is Taal Cafe, where you can just go there and sort of exchange your knowledge of one language for another. So these are some of the ways in which you can learn Dutch if you want. You can get a lot more information about this again on our Welcome to Utrecht website, and it's also something you can find out more about during the orientation program. So that brings us to the end of the presentation. Let's move now to answer some of the questions that you have. I'm going to put the Q&A function open now. Yeah, you can send us any questions that you have. I will be joined by one of our current international bachelor students, David, who will help me in answering the questions that you have. So if you have any questions, make sure to put them in the chat now so we can spend these final few minutes answering them. Okay, I don't know, maybe the presentation was very detailed and there are no questions, but I'll give it a minute or so more. So if you do have any questions, you can put them in the chat now. Okay, I see a couple of questions coming in. I see the first question is about insurance. And what kind of insurance you should take. You can find a lot of detailed information about this on the Welcome to Utrecht website. David can put the link in the chat so you can take a look at it to make sure that whatever insurance you have meets all the requirements of the insurance you need. This depends a bit also whether you're working in the Netherlands or not. So take a look at that page to get all the details about that. Then I see another question about, does the UU offer a student discount on the public transportation? No, there is not a student discount that you can get from the UU for public transportation. There are discount options available in general on public transportation, where, like I mentioned, you can pay a fee of 5 euros and then get a discount when you travel by the train, for example. For Dutch students, it is also possible to get a discount from the government for public transport, and in some cases this is also possible for EU students. This depends on how many hours you work. Alongside your studies, you can find more information about this online. Yeah, I hope that answers the question. I see another question about whether a certain place falls under the municipality of Utrecht. I am not 100% sure, but
sorry, say that again. I didn't hear it.
Oh, the question is, does Marse fall under Utrecht municipality? Maybe you can look it up.
No,
and okay.
It doesn't.
Well,
it's a town on its own, and you have to register in the town hall of Marsin. So that's the same process as in Utrecht, just in another city hall.
Okay, great. So I hope that answers your question. So Marse does not fall in the municipality of Utrecht. But again, like David said, the registration process is extremely similar. Okay. Again, I see some
more about registration, I guess. So something like how quickly after arriving in Utrecht should we register with the town hall? I think this was already mentioned by Ria in the presentation. As soon as possible. So when you get to Utrecht, try to get an appointment as soon as possible. Because it can take a couple of weeks until you get the appointment, because when you arrive, many other people also arrive, so they will get quite busy during that time, and you need to register within the first couple of months of being here. So do it as soon as possible. Put it on top of your agenda, definitely.
Perfect. And yeah, as we mentioned in the presentation as well, you do need your BSN number, for example, to open a bank account. So the quicker you register at the municipality, the quicker you're going to get your BSN, the quicker you can kind of complete some of the other tasks on the list, because a lot of them are linked to each other. So yeah, as soon as possible. I see again some more questions about registering in the city. They are really busy, so it could be possible that the first appointments you see are in a couple of months. That is possible. I believe they refresh the system every Friday, so you could try to check Friday early in the morning, because if people cancel, those appointments become free. So you could try that, but it is a busy period, so it could be that you need to wait a few weeks before you can get an appointment to register at the municipality. Okay, I see some more questions about the dates of orientation. I believe this is the week of the 29th of August. For up-to-date information about it, you can take a look at the Welcome to Utrecht website, and we will also do some more sessions about orientation early next month. So all the exact up-to-date information is always published on the Welcome to Utrecht website. So if you ever need to check it for any kind of planning purpose, you can take a look at it there. Do we need to sign up for the orientation week? Yes, you do need to sign up. Again, the link for this is on the Welcome to Utrecht website. See another question. Will this presentation be available soon? Yes, it will be sent out in 10 days or so in the monthly newsletter. Okay. Do you see any other questions, David, that you think?
Yeah, there's a lot about registration. So something like, does the SSH housing allow city registration? And for example, the SSH is an official agency that has also been approved by Utrecht University, and we recommend booking with them often. And with them, you can register. So whenever you see another housing out, like outside of SSH or generally on some other websites that say no registration, be aware, because you need to register. But as far as I know, with all the SSH housing, you are allowed to register with the city, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to stay here. And then there's just more about the appointments and booking them. So I think for right now, you cannot book appointments for like September or October, because that's just too far in the future. So it's best to just check once you get here, if you can get an appointment as soon as possible. Yeah, there's more about city registration. Should I use this site? Yeah, you can use this website that you just put into the chat, but it will just redirect you to the municipality site, and then you can make an appointment there. So it really depends on what city you live. So if you live in Utrecht, or if you live in Maarsen or Zeist, you just go to the site of the municipality, and there you will be able to find information in English, Dutch, and just make the appointment.
Perfect.
It's really not that hard once you figure it out.
I see some more questions about bank accounts, so let's answer some of those. So the first question I see is, how do you get an IBAN, so international bank account number? So once you open a Dutch bank account, this is automatically assigned and associated with your bank account, so you will get that. And if you already have a bank account, for example, from another EU country, then you already have an IBAN bank account, so you might not need to open a Dutch bank account. Then I see a question about whether Utrecht University is associated with a specific Dutch bank. That is not the case. Yeah, there are a number of banks which are popular in the Netherlands, indeed, Rabobank, ING, Triodos, ABN AMRO. It's up to you, of course, completely to choose a bank and open an account there. For example, some banks focus a lot on sustainability and things like that. So some banks are completely online, so you can take a look at the most popular banks and yeah, choose a bank that fits you best, but the university is not linked to a specific bank. Do Dutch bank accounts issue Maestro debit cards? Yes, that is correct. Okay. Again, I see some more questions about the discount on public transportation. So in general, you can find all the information about public transportation on the NS website. So if you just type in NS Public Transportation Netherlands, you will get a website where you can find all the detailed information about it, the different kinds of discounts available in terms of paying and getting a subscription discount, and the details also for EU students that might be able to qualify for this. I believe you also have to look on the website of the Dutch Ministry for Education for that. So just take a look at these websites and you can get more information about this. Anything else you see, David, that you think is interesting to answer live? I see a question about parking your bike. So does Utrecht University have a lot of bike spots, or will we have to park it and lock it up elsewhere and walk? That's
So I'm on campus right now, and I can look outside the window right next to me, and I see probably 500 bike racks. So yeah, there is a lot of space to lock your bike. There are outdoor spaces. There are spaces that have a roof above it. So if it rains, which happens a lot in the Netherlands currently, then you have a dry bike once you need to go home. So there are many different options. I think on the main campus there are even like bike garages, so there's a lot of space, yeah, or to park your bike, definitely.
Yes, and indeed, this is true not just on the 3 campuses of Utrecht University, but across the city of Utrecht in general. There are bike parks basically every 200 to 300 meters, so you can always find a place to park your bike. It's important though that you lock it up well, because otherwise your bike could get stolen. Okay, I see another question about banking. So if you do have a European bank account, something with an international bank account number, it might not be necessary for you to get a Dutch bank account. So yeah, keep that in mind. Can you take public transportation before you get a public transportation card? Yes, of course you can. It is also possible to just buy a ticket every time you want to take the bus, or every time that you want to take the train. So this is indeed possible. Keep in mind that if you are taking a bus, it is only possible to buy a ticket on the bus with specific types of cards and not by cash. If you are buying a ticket for a train in the station, then you can pay both by cash and by, I think, most credit cards. What I would recommend though is that you buy yourself one of those anonymous public transportation cards, so you can keep putting money on this and then conveniently using it for all of your public transportation methods. And then later on, once you have an address, etc., you can get yourself a personal public transportation card, which you can then, for example, get a subscription on, etc. I see some more questions about things like the rent allowance. We will be doing another session on housing next week, so you can join us for that as well, for questions related to housing. David, will you maybe be able to send the link to the orientation page from the Welcome to Utrecht website in the chat, because I still see some questions about that. Okay. Again, if you have questions about the orientation or about insurance, the links are in the chat, so you can find out more about it there. We have a couple minutes left, so let's see if yeah, there are any final questions we can answer.
Yeah, there's another question, for example, about the transportation, if there's a price difference between the anonymous and the personal card. So if you get a personal card, you have the option to get a subscription, as Ria mentioned in the presentation already. And with that subscription that you pay €5 for example, you might get a 40% discount on trains. And that is not possible with the anonymous card. There are many different types of subscriptions available, which you can book online onto your card, and then you might get a cheaper price with that subscription. Yeah. And
but apart from that, there's no difference between the prices.
Exactly.
And the cost of buying the card itself, I believe, is also the same. I think it costs €7 for the card. And then you can, of course, put money on it on top of that.
Yeah. Then there's another question if this presentation is going to be sent out. So maybe just to answer all those questions, at the end of the month in the newsletter, it will be sent out to you, a recording of this, and you can rewatch it. Along with all the other sessions as well. And if you need a specific session that has been held already and you cannot find it in your emails or whatever, you can just contact us and we can be able to send it out to you again.
Okay, maybe one final question before we end. I see a lot more questions still about orientation. So again, keep an eye out on that page, and we will be hosting a session about this early next month. So hopefully that's early enough for you to have a lot of information about orientation. Okay, I think then we will leave it at that. Thanks, David.
Thank you. And yeah, if you have more questions, just check out the other sessions with us and the recordings, and it should answer all your important questions.
Okay. And then thank you, David, for helping me answer the questions, and thank you to all of you for joining this session. As I mentioned, of course, we will be having more sessions coming up. So next week, a session about housing. The week after that, a session about fees and enrollment. And then we will also have sessions next month about different support services at UU and also about orientation. So looking forward to seeing you at our upcoming sessions. Thank you.